many of you know, I'm an avid podcast listener and I'm an avid learner. I'm constantly listening and scanning for new information. And some of the information that I'm looking for is to validate and reaffirm what I believe to be true in relation to the work that I do and have been doing for 14 years. And some of it, of course, is to learn new stuff and to make sure that, the methods can't be improved or there's not a new or a better way of doing things. Now, I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were basically saying that time management is old-fashioned and the new and the better way of doing things is energy management. And it got me thinking, is that really true? And I thought I'd share with you my thinking of that. Time management versus energy management. Is one better than the other? Is one old-fashioned? Should we shift our thinking? So that's what I'm going to share with you today. It's a little bit my musings, it's my thoughts, it's a little bit of a rant. So I'm going to share with you how I've explored this thinking, weighing up the two, and where it's evolved and, frankly, where it ended up. Now, obviously, and for those of you who've been listening for a while, you'll know that I'm a huge time management fan. I've got quite a few podcast episodes where I've talked about how much rolling out a time management assessment and process and schedule has helped me in my business in the last few years and frankly in my life. So time management is definitely something that I recommend. And I'll be honest with you, my first reaction when I heard this was to be offended and to question myself like, oh my goodness, am I that old that I'm talking about old-fashioned stuff that's no longer relevant? But then as I listened further, because whenever something like that happens, whenever I get, triggered, I always lean into it and think, oh, what's happening here? And what's the truth? So of course I leaned in, listened further, and I explored what time management versus energy management was, because they were talking about how time management is old-fashioned and energy management is the better, newer way to think about things. And through that process of learning and thinking and researching and listening and really thinking about it from this heavily practical perspective, which is what I overlay on everything, I concluded that time management and energy management actually go hand in hand. And energy management, in my opinion, is completely useless if you don't have good time management. And frankly, if you don't understand where your time is going in the first place, then just trying to apply energy management practices will lead you down the garden path to stress and a massive to-do list that blows out and all the things. So let me break it down for you and share with you why I've come to that conclusion so that you can start to have a think about it for yourself and have a think about the time management and energy management practices that you may or may not be applying to your business and your life. So let's start with some definitions, which I think is just always a helpful start, just to go, what are we actually talking about when we're talking about time management and energy management? So time management is the process of planning and exercising conscious control over the amount of time spent on specific activities. It involves the ability to prioritize tasks, set goals, and allocate time effectively to maximize your productivity and efficiency. Now, that is a definition that good old ChatGPT has helpfully provided me, sourcing it from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I love ChatGPT and I love Stephen Covey, so that feels like a really great definition to start with. Now, let's jump over to energy management, which I'm sure you'll agree that talking about energy and managing your energy and being aware of your energy, it's much more on trend, isn't it? It's much more modern than good old fashioned time management. So let's look at a definition and let's break it down. Energy management refers to the practice of consciously regulating and optimizing your physical, emotional, and mental energy to enhance your productivity and performance. So this looks at, identifying energy patterns, prioritizing activities based on your energy levels, and implementing strategies to maintain or restore your energy throughout your day so that you can ultimately perform your most important tasks at your highest level of energy. So this definition or this perspective has been drawn from a book called The Powerful Engagement, and it's by Jim Lower and Tony Schwartz. So Jim is a sports psychologist with a doctorate in psychology, so clearly he knows all the things, and he's got a lot of experience coaching athletes as well as a consulting business. And Tony is a Harvard graduate and has written extensively on energy management. So I'm sharing with you those credentials so we can actually land on okay, this is a good definition of energy management. Let's run with this. And of course, course, I want to make sure I'm properly referencing everybody's definitions and giving credit where credit's due, because these are not my definitions. This is, Stephen Covey's definition of time management is used over and over and over again. And that's, so well known. And then energy management, I think that there are probably various definitions out there, but this one feels like it's got some good substance for us to talk to and really look at and pull apart. So what I think's interesting is that you may read or hear people saying that energy is more important than time, and energy is the most important part of high performance. However, here's what I believe to be true, and that is the link between time and energy management and why they go hand in hand. I believe that effectively managing time is essential to create the space to do any sort of energy management. Whatever that looks like, whether it's resting and recharging your energy or prioritizing this or being able to, do a difficult task when your mental energy is at its peak. If you're not effectively managing your time, you don't have the space or the awareness to be able to even start on that. If you've got no idea where your time's going and no idea how long things normally take you and no idea how long you should spend on something or how to, control and prioritize your time in the right way, then you're never ever going to be able to get into a flow and focus on, well, how do I maximize my energy to do the important things that are going to take this long? And on the flip side, if all you focus on is energy management, so working on the most important things at your peak time, so perhaps you're one of those people whose peak energy is in the mornings, like me, and you wake up and you're like, okay, I've got this really important task. I'm going to come up with a new product, or I'm going to brainstorm a new sales page, or I'm going to, really get into innovation or whatever it is that you think, okay, peak mental energies now, I'm going to dive into this. So if you dive into that without an awareness of how long you've got to really dive into that and go deep without important things falling apart, without clients, knocking on your door, without getting on to the other things, because let's face it, we all have more than one priority that we need to get through in a day. So if we don't actually know how much time we can allocate in our peak energy period, then that's not going to work either. So this is why I believe we need to have an awareness of both. You need to manage your time, meaning allocating the right time to the tasks and the activities, doing the right ones first, prioritizing those, and making sure that you have a plan and a schedule that is productive within, what is, without question, a finite thing we're dealing with. Time is finite. And you need to understand your energy and know how to manage it so that, when your energy is at its peak, you're doing the most important tasks. So let me give you an example. My energy is at its lowest late at night, which is the complete opposite to my husband, who's quite the night owl. So for me, if I'm finding myself working or have to do something at that low energy time, it needs to be like a low mental activity. So something that doesn't require much cognitive load. So for me, that's probably like reconciling things in Xero, or maybe it's just doing some basic research. Maybe it's researching a holiday, something that doesn't require loads of mental energy. Whereas if I need to or want to do something innovative or strategic or, future focused, then I need to do that first thing in the morning when my energy is peaking. And ideally, I do that after I've been for a walk, been outside, and everything really feels mentally turned on and I'm at my peak clarity. So managing your energy is, yes, knowing how to rest, replenish your energy, knowing when your energy naturally peaks, and allocating, as I said, that peak mental energy to the most important things that you need to get done each day or each week. And ideally, where possible, 100% outsourcing and delegating as many of those energy draining activities to someone else. But you can't do that without an awareness and a level of consciousness and discipline around your time. And one of the other things that I've been studying lately is the way every one of us has a different thinking style in our brain. So we have different brain thinking styles or brain thinking modes, and how each of us has a different pattern to the way our brain prefers to function and to think. And so for some of us, our instinctive immediate mode when faced with a problem or, given something new, or when we need to communicate, might be to dive into the facts and, do some analysis and gather the information and apply lots of logic to whatever it is that we're doing. And for others, it's to leap ahead into that innovation and creativity and future thinking and thinking about what can we build and create new. And for others, your brain's thinking mode is about connecting with somebody else, like getting a human connection and either leaning on a relationship or building a relationship to verbally process whatever it is that you're dealing with. And I'll talk more about these different brain thinking modes in a future episode, but it's all linking together and I'm finding it hugely fascinating, and I'm going to take you on this journey with me and share this all with you, because when we can understand our time, so how much we've got, what we need to do with it, and how long the things take, and we can understand our energy, the way it flows, when it's at our peak, what we need to do to replenish it, and we can also understand our natural brain pattern and the fact that it takes us energy to shift our brains into thinking in a different way that's instinctive, or that's our natural first thinking mode. Then I think we're really onto something as far as helping us to feel more in flow in our business, get all the stuff done that we need to, and frankly, be as productive as we can and enjoy it along the way, and enjoy it more than feeling like, we're in a mode of resistance, or we're kind of pushing shit uphill, so to speak, or, taking the things off the to-do list because the guilt of not doing it has convinced us that we need to do it first. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Is time management old-fashioned? Is energy management the new better thing? No, I think they go hand in hand, and I'm really excited to share more of my thoughts with you as these evolve, and in particular how brain thinking comes into it as well. Okay, so that's it for today. That's my musings over which is better, time management or energy management. And in fact, how they're both fantastic. We need to understand them and they go hand in hand. And I'd love to hear from you. What's landed with you today? Do you find time management tricky? Have you heard of energy management before, or is this brand new? Are you aware of when your energy peaks? And are you even taking any of these things into consideration when you're planning out your day or your weeks or your schedule? And as I said, I'm going to be sharing some more about brain thinking modes and how you can get to know what your instinctive or your default mode is, and the different types of modes that we all have the ability to tap into. So look out for those podcasts. That'll be coming soon. And I'm really excited to share these learnings with you so that we can all add it into our mix as well. Okay, that's it. Until next week, have fun.